What is up, guys? I'm here today with Alex Gibson on the AR podcast. Alex, we appreciate you coming on today, taking some time out of your day to spend with us. I know you've been around for a long time. I mean, you and Baker have connections that go way back. So, man, without further ado, you got to dive us in and just even let us know how did you and Baker get connected?
Yeah, so thank you first and foremost for having me on the podcast. It's my pleasure to be here today. And we got connected through a college ambassador program back in 2018 for BSN supplements. So BSN supplements, they were famous for a long time for the NO Explode pre-workout. And so I was repping them, and we actually met through that program. So it's a pretty small world. I know Baker is, like a serial entrepreneur. He had Eubora. I was helping him promote that and stuff like that. But I'm really excited for all the success that he's been having here at AR.
We're just happy to have you on the platform with everybody, man. The success you're having with it too. So if you guys didn't know Alex is from South Florida, played football forever, ended up playing at Columbia. 2018, this dude started coaching shortly after his football career. It's where him and Baker got connected through all that as well. But it's crazy. People don't always think this, but Alex was a 145-pound little dude at one point before he got completely jacked in training, and obviously getting to help a ton of people with that now. So again, man, we just want to say thanks again, first and foremost, for just coming out with us and taking the time today. I gotta know, playing Division I football, playing at Columbia, not everybody gets a chance to do that. Like that's, I feel like that's a lot of kids' dreams when they're in high school. It's like, oh, I want to go play Division I football. You got to let me know, what was that like?
Yeah, it was an awesome experience, one that I'll be forever grateful for. Football at the next level, I'll tell you, like the step up from high school to college is no joke whatsoever, especially in terms of time commitment. So the biggest thing that I struggled with back in college was time management, because we would have practice for like 8 hours a day. And we'd be at the facility. Our facility too, by the way, wasn't actually on campus. So we had to take a bus about 40 minutes up Manhattan, up to the Bronx. And that's where our training facility was. So besides like the amount of time we spent like lifting, film, going over the playbook, team meetings, all that stuff. And then of course, practices, we also had to, spend about an hour and a half on a bus, 6 to 7 days per week. So it was a grind. I'll tell you that. One thing that, I'll always tell people is like at the next level, right? When you're playing college, and certainly the pros, it's a business at the end of the day. So it's, they have no mercy, right? And it was one of those things where it kind of made me not love football quite as much as I did back in high school, right? Back in high school, it was just me playing with my boys and just like going out there, showing out for each other on a Friday night under the lights. And getting to college, I quickly realized that, all right, number one, I'm probably not good enough to go to the NFL. But number two, that, my passion for weightlifting was really the avenue and the direction that my life was meant to go.
I love that, which then led into coaching everything you do now. What would you say, like going through that college experience, playing college sports, what valuable tools did you take from that have now propelled you into success as a coach?
I think, one thing that football, and I think football does this better than any other sport, in my opinion, teaches you is accountability. And it also teaches you leadership, right? Because football is the ultimate team sport where every single play, every person needs to do their job. Everyone needs to know their assignment. And then you have to go hard and actually execute it with intensity, right? And so I think football, like really above all, taught me a lot about life and, just showing up every single day. Because I'll tell you, when like you're in August and you're in 2-a-days, you're like, I don't want to freaking do this at all, right? Your legs feel super heavy. They feel like a ton of bricks. And you're like, I have to go run around with, weight on my back for another 3 hours, hit people and take abuse to my body. Right. So I learned to just like show up and hold myself accountable and hold myself to a high level through football.
I love that, which obviously carries right over. It's not every day that you wake up as like, yes, you love coaching. I think everybody can relate to that as in the coaching world. Like it's fun. It's awesome getting to see people change, but there's a lot of days too where, it's a grind. Like that grind is sound, it's like never stops. There's always another thing to do. There's always a new plan to put in place. There's always another client that needs something done. It's I think it's almost impossible to be able to do that at a high level like you do without having the background of something hard already established with the patterns in place from it.
Yeah. Coaching is 24/7, 365. I would say I only take off about like 5 days in total throughout the entire year. And that's typically like my girlfriend and I, who also is, a co-CEO with me for Physique Revival Coaching. we'll go on like one vacation, every year. And that's like, I mean, we travel a lot more than that, but like that one vacation, we'll kind of just tell our clients like, hey, like, this is our one break for the year. But besides that, I mean, I'm working sometimes on Saturdays, Sundays, but it's easy to work when you love what you do and you're so passionate about it, because I know how much strength training has changed my life. And so being able to share that gift with someone else is really priceless at the end of the day. So like, yeah, there certainly is times when, I'm tired or, I have a lot going on in my own personal life, but still showing up for your clients is super important. And I pride myself on providing a premium service. But right now, it's funny you actually brought that up, because right now I'm on bodybuilding prep. I'm doing my pro debut here in about 7.5 weeks. And I'll tell you, like, my energy is really drained right now. Like, I'm getting super peeled right now. And I'm really just trying to find ways to just conserve my energy for the most important things, which is, going to be, making sure I'm still a good partner to my girlfriend, right? Taking care of all my clients, still providing them the highest level service, right? Managing my team members, and then, my own personal bodybuilding, right? So I'm really finding now that, like, some of the extra, fun things that I used to do, right, in the next couple of months while I'm going through this prep, I'm putting those to the back burner, right? Like having fun with friends and all that stuff, so I can focus on my main priorities.
I love that, man. Prep setting, for anybody who's not in the bodybuilding world, that is like the most miserable experience. Yet somehow at the same time, it's also I'm hoping it's the same for you. It's also like the best experience you can go through too. Like,
yeah, I mean, you learn so much about yourself. Like, prep has changed my life in so many ways, because what I used to think was hard, after going through, like, this is like my 10th prep, I now find the hard things that I used to find in the past easy, right? So it's really redefined in my mind what I think is hard, because prep like requires all of you physically, mentally, emotionally, right? And you don't have a day off, right? Like, you can't move the show. The show's not moving for anyone. So you have to learn how to kind of, play a lot of different roles in your life still very, very well. Like, because you can't just shut down your business during prep or anything like that, right? You can't just neglect your relationships. You have to be able to handle all of it at once. And I think it really turns you into more of a leader when you're able to, have a lot of pressure on you, but still show up and still deliver.
I love that, man. That's awesome. Alex, how long have you actually been in the AR system? How long have you been a client at AR?
I believe it's been about 2 years now. So I was, I believe I was one of the first people to sign up with y'all.
OG.
I mean, Mike's a great guy. I know Baker, obviously. And so when I got wind of this system, I'm like, I'm using way too many separate systems. I kind of felt like I was all over the place, and being able to consolidate a lot of that into one system was phenomenal, right? And like, Go High Level, right, which is what AR Funnel is built on, requires a ton of legwork to get it set up for a fitness business, right? And so the fact that you guys already give an amazing package to your clients makes it 100% worth it.
I love that. With your coaching as a whole, do you primarily work with bodybuilders, or who's your ideal client?
Yeah, so I work with busy professionals, like men in corporate America, typically, 30, 40, 50. I've worked with lawyers. I've worked with the CEO of Crumble Cookies. I've worked with, a lot of like really, really high level professionals in the medical field. It's really varies, but typically 30s, 40s, 50s is kind of my sweet spot. My youngest client was 18. My oldest client was pushing almost 70 years old. And so I work with a wide range of people, but at the end of the day, like, these guys come to me and they need that mentor in their life, right? They need that guidance, that accountability. And most of all, they need a plan, right? Because too many people wing their fitness journey, having no idea what they're putting in their body. Every workout they get to the gym, they freestyle. So having that structure is key to progress. And that's what people come to me for, is really that structure and that scientific approach to their fitness journey.
What got you? I mean, you go from the sport world, you're training, you love the training aspect of, preparing for football games. Why bodybuilding after?
I've always been a competitor, and bodybuilding filled a void that I had in me once I quit football. I mean, I grew up playing all different sports. I played soccer back in the day. I ran cross country. I ran track in high school. I played basketball in high school. I played baseball up into middle school. So I literally have played like almost all the sports. I would say like the major one that I haven't played is lacrosse, but I've just always been super competitive by nature. Like, one thing about me is I don't like to lose. And so once I quit playing football, I'm like, I need something to take that competitive nature, that competitive energy, and put it into something, right? And for me, like, the training aspect was awesome. And I started following bodybuilding back in high school. with some of my buddies. Like we used to, outside of the 3 days a week we'd lift with our high school football team, my buddy had a bench press and some, adjustable dumbbells in his basement. And so we used to watch like YouTube videos for like 20 minutes before we were going to go lift while drinking our pre-workout. And, we would just get all hyped up and then we would go like, max out on bench and all that stuff. And so that was really like those YouTube videos are really what inspired me to eventually, actually start picking up a camera, starting to record what I was doing and then posting it on the internet. And it was definitely a scary feeling. I mean, I felt like there's a lot of judgment, especially with a lot of my friends back in college. They're like, what are you doing? Like, this is never going to work out. And, a couple years later, like once things had worked out and started, really blowing up, they're like, wow, like you had a vision. And that's one thing about me is like, I'm someone who I don't look at where I am. I look at where I can be and I'll work my ass off relentlessly to get there.
I love that, man. I love that. Who were those people you were watching way back in the day? Like what were the
Athlete X was one of them. Yeah, Athlete X, Christian Guzman, Jeff Nippard, a lot of those like just like OG YouTubers. I used to watch like Rob Lipset a little bit as well. And like, especially through like Christian Guzman's content, I started to realize like, wow, you can actually make a massive, massive impact on a ton of people's lives and also make a great career out of it as well. So like I, up until that point, had no idea, that it was even a thing to be on social media and make good money from lifting and coaching people.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Since then, what's been the biggest, like if I was asked 2 people that have had the biggest influence on you in coaching, just in you, who would those be and what about them stood out?
So one of them would definitely be my current bodybuilding coach, David DiMasquita. He goes by Dynamite D on Instagram. I mean, he's just an incredible person, has a huge heart, and he's also someone who's very, very detail oriented. And I swear, like this man has an incredible brain. Like he's probably one of the smartest people I've ever met. And the joke that like I have is like, he's like the smartest non-doctor I've ever met. When it comes to supplementation, nutrition, like he's just incredibly knowledgeable. When I started working with him, he was actually my 3rd bodybuilding coach. And when I started working with him, we went pro in 8 months. We only did one show and we turned pro. And so like, he's someone that like him and I have just grown closer and closer and closer. I was actually just visiting him about 2 weeks ago and we have an amazing relationship. So he's certainly one. And then I think the second one, that's kind of a tough question. I would say the second one would be probably like just like, let me think for a second. I think the second one could be like Alex Hormozy. I have read like a lot of his books. He's incredible with business. And what I like about like Alex Hormozy is like, he started off in the fitness world, right? But he didn't like just fully, confine himself to always staying in the fitness world. And he was able to like take what he learned from running a fitness business and then, create a massive empire from it. So it's really inspiring to kind of like hear, I mean, his knowledge and his value that he provides on social media. I think for like anyone that's trying to get it more into leadership or personal development or, be a CEO of a company, right? It's invaluable because he tells it exactly how it is. And I love how blunt he is with his content.
Oh, that's sick. That's sick. I'm just laughing. I'm like sitting here thinking about back in the day, like you and your buddies sitting there, like getting the pre-workout ready, throwing the YouTube videos on, like, and then going and hitting it. I feel like so many of us can relate to that.
Yeah.
Background for me is football as well. And like, I as soon as you said, like vivid memories are just popping off in my brain with buddies throughout that time period of, same thing. Like you have the team lifts and then you always had that like small group of people that would go out and do some extra work always on their own too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've always been that way, right? Like one thing that I tell people is like, don't be a bottom feeder, right? Like don't be someone who is only doing what's expected of them, right? Be that person that goes an extra 10, 20%. Like when I do cardio, for example, I don't stop at 35 minutes. I'm going to go for 36 to 37 minutes and I'm only going to count it as 35 minutes, right? When I was younger, when I was really into basketball, this is, funny enough, I've been the same height since I was about 13 years old. So I was a really fast bloomer, went through puberty super early. And so I was like one of the tallest kids and then just stopped growing whatsoever. But like I was dominant in basketball. And I used to attribute that to like when I lived in Chicago, I would be outside practicing even if there was, snow on the ground. I would shovel the whole driveway no matter how deep it was. And then literally it could be like 10 degrees outside. I'd be outside shooting. And I would do that for hours and hours to the point where my mom would have some of my friends' moms over and they'd be like, why the hell is Alex outside? And I was just like, I wanted to shoot. you know? Like to me, it
Yeah.
just made sense. So I'm always telling people like, you know, go above and beyond. But funny story that I think you're going to laugh at is when I used to live with my buddies, right? We were always big. We would go to like this local supplement shop. It was called Stan's Vitamin Shop. And it was it wasn't like a chain like GNC or Vitamin Shop. It was a little bit sketchier. But they sold this pre-workout called Bull Knox, right? And it was supposed to raise your testosterone levels and all that stuff. Well, it was pretty intense. So the first time my buddy took it, he got super like just pumped up, fired up, and literally punched a hole in his basement wall. And let's just say his mom wasn't too happy about it.
No, that one's perfect. That's perfect. I have my best friend is like popping up in my head right now. Like I 100% have the same friend that I can think of, like would run something like that and just go insane. There's a stupid video of him when we're in, I think we were like freshmen in college. We're back in the like high school football weight room, like could get keys and stuff like that back then, and just going crazy, like hitting big deadlifts and just screaming and grunting, and that's exactly what I'm picturing as you say this buddy hits the wall from the pre-workout.
Yeah, no, I mean, going hard with your boys back in the day, like, was the best feeling. Like, it was just really refreshing, especially too when you find that like core group of friends. Like, I was someone who like I knew like just about everyone through sports and through like my social life, right? But at the end of the day, I've always been someone who preferred to keep my circle, like my very close circle, very tight knit and very small. Because when it comes to friends, I don't want to be everyone's friend, right? Because if you try to be everyone's friend, then you're going to have a lot of people that like you for the wrong reasons, or you're not going to be true to yourself, right? And so what I found is that like, I would rather, like I said, I still socialize with a lot of people. My true friend group was pretty small, and those were actually the guys that I could count on and fully be myself around. And so I've always been like, keep your circle close. And especially with like the real ones in your life, like those are the people that are going to support you. Like those coincidentally were the same people that supported me when I, was transitioning from playing football to like bodybuilding, because they knew I had that drive and that fire in me.
How have you been able to cultivate that still? Like, I feel like as we start to grow up and we get older, we lose that core tight knit group of friends. Like, we can't see each other every day. It is what it is. But how have you still found a way to get that same need for fulfillment from just a group of like the dudes? That's the best way I can describe it. It's the dudes.
Yeah, I mean, I have like some really good friends here where I live, and a lot of them do like, similar things. Like one thing that I love about Boca is that there's a lot of like entrepreneurs. So, there's several fitness coaches, yet there's a lot of bodybuilders and a lot of like Kai Green, actually, he goes to my gym. So, I see a lot of like those guys, right? And like I get inspired by other people that are doing super well, right? It could even be on social media. Like I don't look at it as like when I was younger, right? It was more of a comparison game of like, hey, this person's doing better than me, right? They must be cheating, or they must be doing something, like I was always comparing myself. Like it was almost like social media was like a measuring stick of how successful I was. But now instead of feeling jealous, I feel inspired, because I think that if someone else can do it, right, that proves that it's possible. Right? And so why not me? Right? That's always kind of like what I tell myself, like, why not me?
I love that. You brought up something really big there. It's environment. There's before we hopped on, I was talking about just some background stuff. Louis Simmons, Westside Barbell, this, that, the other. There's two things that Louis said mattered most. It wasn't the training. It wasn't any of that. It was the number one was environment. Number two is knowledge. Those are the two most important things. You're in an environment with Kai Green in it. Like,
Yeah.
how can you not progress as a bodybuilder whenever you're sitting there seeing that all the time?
Yeah. I mean, the dude looks insane. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to compete again. Like, he still looks just as good as he did when he was competing at the Mr. O. Like, it's ridiculous. And I mean, I don't know exactly how old he is. I think he's like close to 40, or maybe he's a little bit above 40, but it's like, that's how I want to be. Like, I tell my girl all the time, like, I'm not going to be someone, like, I don't see myself bodybuilding forever, but I tell my girl, I'm like, I am going to be someone who is 60 and still has 6-pack abs and still looks phenomenal, because this is a way of life for me. And I think like one thing that a lot of people like think is they're like, oh, you need so much discipline to live the life that you do. And I think at first it started from I need more discipline and I need more structure in my life. Like eating like a meal plan was super hard for me. But at this point, like it's a choice, and I love this lifestyle, right? And so for me, I don't find myself really needing to exercise a ton of discipline. I just execute because I genuinely want to, right? I find it fun. I find it rewarding. And so for me, it's like, I think when people kind of talk about discipline, right? Discipline's when you're trying to build a habit, right? That's when you need discipline the most. But once the habits are built, as long as you don't completely like screw off and neglect them, right? It should feel easy.
Yeah. Leading into that, what would you say then, like when it comes to coaching as a whole, what have you found to be your favorite part about getting to coach?
Like getting coached or me coaching someone else?
You coaching. Yeah.
Me coaching. My favorite part is probably celebrating wins with my clients. Like, I think that's one of my favorite parts of coaching because I see how I'm impacting these guys' lives. And, I've had clients that went from not super confident to, hey, they get in shape and now they're like, dude, I'm actually quitting my corporate job and I'm going to start my own business. And like, I'm like, dude, that's awesome. Like now you're starting to take control of your life back, right? You're starting to blaze your own path, which is, exactly what my story is like, right? Also seeing, I've had several clients that I work with now, they're online coaches and I've been able to kind of mentor and guide them along the way, which has been really, really cool. I think like, besides the like celebrating wins and like, someone losing 50 pounds or 100 pounds or, building a ton of muscle or hitting a new PR, like all that stuff is cool. Another part that I really like is the education because at Physique Revival, we're super, super big on education. And I think a lot of the reasons why a lot of people struggle with getting in shape, besides obviously like the delayed gratification mindset that people struggle with, right? Everyone wants instant gratification these days, is because they don't fully understand how the different puzzle pieces of fitness fit together, right? And they also, too, by like looking at too many different sources, right, can get really confused. Like, what diet do I do, right? What do I need to do specifically, right? And I think a lot of people, right, just don't know how to optimally do things for themselves, right? And so through the education, we do like team calls. We host those where, we create slide decks and we'll do like a 30 to 45-minute presentation. Like some weeks it's nutrition, sometimes it's stress, hormones, gut health. Like we get really, really granular about these topics. And the feedback that we get from our clients is like, they feel like they understand everything 10 times more. And that just makes it easier for them to stay consistent, right? Because another thing too is like, if you feel like you have no solid game plan, you're probably not going to see great results. And so that's going to be a barrier to you staying consistent. But if you know the why behind something, at least for me, when I've known the why, like this is why I'm doing something, it makes me actually like not cut corners and actually do it more consistently as well.
I agree 100% on that. There's a coach I worked with. I did a prep this past November. I do not come from the bodybuilding world at all. CrossFit's my base, but I worked with AJ Sims. I don't know if you know him or not.
Yeah, for sure.
Got to work with him throughout the prep. It was an awesome experience. And the whole way through, it was always just like, this is why we do this. This is why we do this. This is why we do this. Like having that education and base behind it, I think it's an absolute game changer, not just for like me getting to help, coach people, but being in the process of it. There's no way I could have done what I did without having that there. So I just love to hear the fact that like you guys have education pushed so big as the forefront of everything you guys do.
We don't market anything as like a quick fix, right? We don't like run challenges where like get abs in 21 days, which I do see. And I always just cringe at it because most people, let's face it, unless they're starting from a pretty lean starting point, are not going to have abs in 21 days. And so we only work with clients on a 6 to 12 month basis because we're playing more of the long game. And I think a lot of the people that we work with appreciate that we're not selling them, false truths, right? We're being honest about how long it's going to take to sustainably, safely, and scientifically be able to hit their goal. And so we are totally like completely on the other side of like all those fad diets and all those quick fixes. And, our clients' health is also a priority because there are coaches out there that will put their clients through like absolute hell and they see great results, but it's not safe or healthy for the client, right? And so what that coach is doing is putting their client's well-being on the back burner just so they can have a little bit more impressive testimonial to market on their Instagram, which in my opinion is really fucked up.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That's literally all I can say about it. Seeing the other world of all the coaching industry. It makes me so happy to hear that because there are so many coaches that will, just exactly like you said, like this can make me get a better result. So then I look better. And coaching's not about us as the coach. Coaching's always about the client. It's a service. It's a service-based job. It's never like, it's awesome when the clients get the win and this, that, and the other, but at the end of the day, it's for them. It's not for us. And so just hearing that lets me know your heart behind it, which is, we need more of that. We need more of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, coaching is something, I think it's kind of like the wild, wild west these days. I mean, there's a ton of people that are getting into coaching and, some people like have very little experience or they really haven't done a lot of studying. They haven't taken a lot of courses. Like I have several certifications. I've taken J3U. I've done like several different J3U certifications. I've taken a lot of other mentorship courses and stuff like that. So like I've poured into myself, and as a result, I can pour more into my clients. But there's a lot of like newer coaches kind of getting into the game. And I think a lot of them are kind of getting into it for the wrong reasons, because they see it's an easy way to make money and not have to work for someone else. But those are the same people that, their clients don't typically stay with them very long, because they're not providing a good service, and they're not doing things that are scientific. Like I hop on consultation calls all the time, and I'll hear like what another coach is saying, and I'm like, this makes zero sense. Like one of them that was probably the craziest that I heard was I was talking to this one guy. He was already eating like 4,500 calories per day. Body composition. He had way too much body fat. And he's like, yeah, my coach wants me to bulk for another 4 months. And our strategy is every 2 weeks, regardless of how weight changes, we're going to add another 300 calories. And I said, whoa, pause for a second. Brother, do you not understand that if we do this math and you're bulking for another 4 to 5 months, you're going to be eating about 6,000 to 7,000 calories per day, and you're already in a big surplus. Like, and he's like, oh yeah, like this coach he's doing an experiment on me. And I'm like, you don't want your body to be an experiment for some coach who has literally no idea about science.
You want data. Data leads the way. That's what the check-ins are so important for. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
What would you say before you came into AR, what was your biggest hesitation before actually coming into AR?
I mean, I've tried like a lot of different like business courses and things like that. And, some of them have been really helpful. Some of them have not been whatsoever. And so I think my biggest hesitation, I think which a lot of people can probably relate to, is just like, is this going to be worth it? And, quickly I found out that it was. And even though like, I had been, burned a couple times in the past with like different business mentors that overcharge for really crappy service, I never let that skew my perception of like what the future is going to be like, right? Because like, even if we connect this to someone's fitness journey, right? A lot of people tell themselves that they can never get in shape because they've tried before and they failed. Right? Maybe they failed 5 times, 10 times, 20 times, whatever it is. And so people a lot of times will dictate their, decisions in the present or in the future off of past failures. And so I've committed to myself that, all right, even though I've had some bad experiences prior, let's wipe the slate clean. It's not healthy to dwell on that. And let's be open to change still, right? Let's not just completely close off. And, getting help is a superpower when it comes to, just about anything, right? And I definitely just connected well with Mike. Obviously, I know Baker. And so that gave me, a little bit more confidence with joining AR. But I just saw a huge need for, the type of software that you guys provide. And like I was saying earlier, I had way too many like different systems. I was processing payment here. I was managing my clients here. I didn't even like really have too much email marketing or anything going. I didn't have like any place so that I really knew how to create funnels with confidently. And so being able to accomplish that all in one singular place has been a game changer.
I love that. What's been your biggest win since coming into AR?
My biggest win is that, my business efficiency has improved a ton. And as a result, part of it's like my training software, my training portal is a lot more efficient than it used to be, but like also too with like the back end, right? My back end, which is managed through AR Funnel pretty much exclusively, is way more efficient and has allowed me to, free up more time and then also, make more money as a result. So my business has scaled pretty nice, and having just the tools and being able to like integrate my team members into AR has also helped with, kind of division of labor, right? So like being able to delegate tasks to my setter, or being able to delegate tasks to, my executive assistant, AR has been fundamental with that.
Man, Alex, I just appreciate you taking time out today to top on here with us. If you were to be able to go back in time, whenever you first started coaching, anybody that's in that same spot, what advice would you give them?
Don't expect it to be an easy road, but if you're asking for strength, be expected to go through a lot of challenges, and don't back down from those challenges. I'm certainly not an overnight success, and my business growth hasn't really been explosive, or, it hasn't been anything where, it's not like I went from 0 to 100K in like, 2 months, right? A lot of those things that you see online that are telling you like you need success, right? Or you needed success yesterday, right? That's not realistic with most people's timelines. Like, yes, every now and then there's going to be people that blow up on social media super quickly, or, there's going to be people that their business, they start it and it just turns to gold immediately. But those are the really, really rare cases. But that doesn't mean that you can't get where you want to be, right? God's delays are not God's denials. And so remember that, keep pushing forward and have fun with the process, right? Like, a business is not just supposed to be all stress, and it's not supposed to be, this thing that you don't like doing, right? It's supposed to be fun, right? So have fun serving people, because you're making the world a better place, and we need more quality fitness coaches that care genuinely for their clients and want to make a difference in this world.
Man, Alex, appreciate you a ton.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me on.
Anytime.